don't you just hate it? You're sitting at home, you're enjoying your day, you're going about your business, and the phone goes and you answer it, and it's someone claiming to be called Steve, but it does sound like they're in a very far away country, doesn't it? And they're badgering you about a way to make millions of pounds. Or they're trying to sell you something, or they're telling you they're the police, or they're telling you whatever they are. But the fact is that these are just crank, cold callers, and they want to rob you blind. And all too often, they are successful. But the government is now stepping in, and they're spending £30 million in a major clampdown on fraud. It includes a ban on cold calling by firms who are trying to sell financial products. So, fingers crossed, if you get a call and it's someone who's trying to sell you something financial, you will know it's fake. Now, Rishi Sunak says that they're trying to fight the fraudsters, and they're setting up a new national fraud squad with 400 new specialist investigators. So they're all going to be working very diligently. Here's what he had to say.
Plans we've announced today are robust. They will stop frauds from happening at source. We've got 400 more people in a national fraud squad, and we're going to make it easier for people to report fraud. But crucially, whether we're banning SIM farms, number spoofing, or online media companies getting rid of those fake celebrity endorsement adverts, all these things will stop fraud from happening.
Very pleased to say that I'm joined now by former Scotland Yard detective Peter Bleksley. I mean, this guy really knows his thing about law enforcement. And Peter, one story that always sticks with me is when I was a local reporter up in Cumbria, some poor elderly lady got a phone call from someone who claimed to be from her bank. They actually walked her to the bank over the phone, and she withdrew her entire life savings, put it in their bank account, and it was lost forever. Peter, these people are scumbags.
And heartbreakingly, there are literally millions of stories like that of the victim that you knew, because fraud is operating on a global scale. It is the crime that you, I, and all the listeners and viewers are most likely to fall victim of. And today, I welcome the announcement by the government. These extra resources will help and will go some way to tackling this absolute pandemic of criminality. But of course, there is a responsibility on us all to do whatever we can to ensure that we don't become victims of these pernicious crimes.
Peter, I want you to just inform our viewers and our listeners what they can do to keep themselves safe and what to look out for.
OK, well, the first thing I would strongly suggest is the Telephone Preference Service, TPS. If you don't have a computer, you can look it up or get a friend to look it up online for you and register with TPS. That will stop a percentage of fraudulent calls coming through, not only to your landline, but to your mobile, if you've got one. So the Telephone Preference Service, please do that. If you are online and you have an email account and you receive an email that looks suspicious, my advice is please take a breath. Do not act immediately with any request for money wherever it comes to you, because these fraudsters work on psychology. They know that if you are frightened because you suddenly feel you owe money to the taxman or to a bank or to some other body, you might act swiftly, and that works to their benefit. So if you get one of these, and they're called phishing emails, that's PHI phishing as opposed to an F, please forward any such emails to the following email address. That is phishing, spelt PHISHING, phishing @gov.uk. And those frauds do get investigated, and the government has taken down over 200,000 such potential fraud sites just because people have sent them those emails in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And Peter as well. I mean, look, the government is presumably doing all that it can for this, and they would have good men, a bit like you maybe in a former life as well, working on it, and women, and they are doing everything that they possibly can. But sometimes the best help might come from home, and if you do feel as though maybe one of your relatives, possibly elderly, dare I say it, I'm going to get a lot of abuse here from some very savvy, switched-on elderly people, of course, who watch this show, but who might you feel be falling victim to something or be at risk of being conned, maybe the family should ask a couple of questions, do you think?
Oh, absolutely. And if there's an elderly neighbour that you know, Please, we've got a bank holiday coronation weekend coming up. Take the time to knock on the door. Find out if that person has registered with the TPS. Find out if they're online. Help them with passwords. Help them with any suspicious emails. Please tell them, never ring your bank back. If you get a text saying ring the bank or ring Her Majesty's Revenue, His Majesty's Revenue and Customs as a matter of urgency, please don't do it. Just impart some advice, be there for them if ever they need you, and let's collectively, as well as the government, do all we can to try and thwart these repugnant fraudsters.
Absolutely. I think that their punishment, Peter, really, once they've fleeced some poor old lady out of all of her hard-earned cash, should just be to lock them in a room with you. But, of course, we can't do that these days. Peter Bleksley, thank you very much. Former top cop there. Just giving you, I hope, anyway, some helpful advice about how you can stop being defrauded and your family and your loved ones being defrauded. And if you do think, seriously, oh, it could never happen to me, I would never fall for it, you will be surprised. They are everywhere, this lot. They are everywhere, and they are very smart. So please be vigilant. Do not fall victim to that filth.